All right, today we are decoding one of the most critical skills you can ever develop, both in your career and, frankly, in your life. We're talking about how to handle those high stakes, emotionally charged conversations. This isn't just about getting better at talking, it's about building an executive level toolkit to turn potential conflict into actual progress.
So let's just start right there. Go on, think about it for a second. What's that one conversation that's been nagging at you? Maybe it's giving tough feedback to a key team member, or talking to your business partner about the company's direction. We all have one. That conversation you know you need to have, but you just keep pushing it off.
And here's why that avoidance is so risky. Getting these conversations wrong, or just ducking them entirely, has massive consequences. We're talking derailed careers, toxic company cultures, broken trust. But believe it or not, the impact goes even deeper than that.
Look at this number, 66%. That is a two-thirds drop in the death rate among cancer patients who are taught how to have these kinds of conversations effectively. I mean, let that sink in for a second. Your ability to communicate under pressure is directly connected to your physical health and well-being. It's that serious.
So clearly, running for the hills isn't the answer. The real solution is to run towards the conflict, but to do it with a specific set of skills. The solution? The whole key to this is mastering dialogue.
So here's our game plan. We're going to break this down into a really clear, actionable framework. First, we'll look at the anatomy of conflict itself. Then, we'll walk through 4 core principles. Mastering yourself first, making it safe for everyone to speak, actually executing the dialogue, and finally, turning that talk into action. This is your roadmap.
All right, let's dive into part 1. To solve the problem, we first have to understand it. What exactly makes a conversation crucial? And why do we so often crash and burn when we're in one?
So it's not just any difficult chat. A crucial conversation has these 3 ingredients every time. 1, the stakes are high, the outcome really matters. 2, opinions are different. People just don't see eye to eye. And 3, emotions are starting to creep in and run strong. You get those 3 together and boom, you're in a crucial conversation.
And here is the great, frustrating irony of it all. The very moment the conversation becomes most critical, our brains basically betray us. Adrenaline kicks in, and our bodies literally shuttle resources away from the complex reasoning parts of our brain and towards the fight or flight functions. So just when we need to be our most nuanced, brilliant selves, we get dumber.
So if that's the problem, what's the goal? Well, it's this. This is the central idea of the entire framework. The goal is to build a pool of shared meaning. Your job isn't to win the argument. It's not to prove you're right. It's to do whatever it takes to get all the important information from everybody involved out into the open. The bigger that pool of shared understanding, the smarter your final decision will be. Every single time.
And this quote just nails the ultimate prize. See, great dialogue isn't about compromise, where everyone loses a little. It's about synergy. It's about creating a third option, a better solution that nobody walked into the room with. And that act of co-creation, it forges unbelievably strong and resilient teams and relationships.
Okay, so we've got our goal. Fill the pool of shared meaning. Now, how do we actually do it? This brings us to principle number 1, and it is the absolute starting point. Before you say a word to anyone else, you have to get a handle on yourself.
You know, the most skilled communicators on the planet all live by this rule. They work on me first. Before they even think about what the other person is doing wrong, they take a hard look in the mirror and figure out their own role in the problem. And to do that, you have to understand this little model. It's called the path to action. See, something happens. We see or hear it, but we don't just act. In that split second between seeing and acting, we tell ourselves a story to interpret what we just saw. That story creates an emotion in us, and it's that emotion that drives how we act. This right here, this is the most powerful question you can possibly ask yourself when you feel your emotions getting hijacked. The facts are just facts. Your coworker missed a deadline. That's a fact. But the story you tell, he's lazy, or he's disrespecting me, that's your creation. And if you can challenge that story, you can control your emotions and your actions. Now, our brains are very clever. When we feel under attack, they cook up these self-justifying stories that make us feel good and right. But they absolutely kill any chance of real dialogue. There are 3 classics we all fall back on. First up is the classic victim story. You know this one, right? It's the poor me narrative. I can't believe they did this to me again. It's a great story because it makes us seem completely innocent, and it conveniently ignores any part we might have played in creating the mess. Then you've got the flip side, the villain story. This is where we take a normal, reasonable person and we paint them as a one-dimensional bad guy. He's just a control freak, or she's totally incompetent. By turning them into a villain, we give ourselves permission to act however we want towards them. And the third one is the helpless story. This is the story that gives us a pass to do nothing at all. Well, there's no point in me saying anything. It won't change a thing. This story makes us feel smart for being passive, but it guarantees we stay stuck. The first step to mastery is spotting these stories in your own head and rewriting them.
Okay, once you've done the work on yourself, it's time to shift focus to the conversational environment. This brings us to Principle 2, make it safe. This is the absolute bedrock of productive dialogue.
And here's the bottom line, it's a law of nature. People will not put their real thoughts and feelings into that pool of shared meaning if they feel unsafe, period. The second they sense a threat, they'll either go to silence and shut down, or they'll go to violence and start attacking. As the leader of the conversation, keeping it safe is job number one.
So what does safety actually mean? Well, it breaks down into two very clear conditions. First, is there mutual purpose? Does the other person believe you're working towards a shared goal and that you care about what they want? Second, is there mutual respect? Do they feel like you respect them as a person, even if you disagree with their idea? If either of those is in doubt, safety disappears.
So what do you do when you see someone pulling back or getting aggressive? You use this incredibly powerful skill called contrasting. It's a simple two-part statement. You start with what you don't intend. Hey, I don't want you to think I'm questioning your expertise. And then you clarify what you do intend. I do want to make sure we've looked at this from every angle. It's like a magic wand for diffusing misunderstanding and rebuilding safety instantly.
All right, so you've gotten your own head straight, and you've created a safe environment. Now it's time for the main event. Let's get into the tactical skills of Principle 3, actually executing the dialogue. This is about how to speak your mind and how to listen effectively.
When you need to share a tough message, use this 5-step model. It's called STATE. First, share your facts. Start with what's objective and undeniable. Then, tell your story. Explain the conclusion you've drawn from those facts. Next, and this is key, ask for their path. How do you see it? The whole time, talk tentatively. Use phrases like, I'm starting to wonder if, instead of obviously. And finally, encourage testing. Genuinely invite them to poke holes in your logic. This lets you be both powerful and humble.
But dialogue is a two-way street, right? What do you do when the other person is the one who is blowing up or shutting down completely? Your job then shifts from speaking to skillfully listening and drawing them out.
For that, you have the AMP PEEP Listening Toolkit. First, just ask. A simple, what's going on, can work wonders. If they stay quiet, you can mirror what you're seeing. You're saying everything's fine, but I'm noticing you seem a bit tense. If they start talking, paraphrase to show you get it. Okay, so it sounds like you're frustrated because, and if they're really stuck, you can prime the pump by offering a safe, charitable guess at what they might be feeling. These tools make it safe for them to share their story with you.
And that brings us to our final principle. This is the one that separates a nice chat from a productive business outcome. We've built this amazing pool of shared meaning. Now what? How do we turn all that understanding into action and results?
I mean, let's be honest. We've all been in meetings like this. A fantastic, open discussion. Everyone feels heard. It's great. And then, everyone just leaves. Nothing was decided. No one knows who owns the next step. If you don't end with clarity, you've wasted everyone's time.
The first step to clarity is to decide how you'll decide, and to do it up front. Is this a command decision, where one person makes the final call? Are you going to consult the team for input first? Are you taking a simple vote? Or are you looking for full consensus, where everyone has to agree? Any of these can work, but being ambiguous about which one you're using is a recipe for disaster.
And once the decision is made, you lock it down with this simple grid. For every single action item, you must define these 4 things. Who is responsible? What exactly do they need to deliver? By when does it need to be done? And how will we follow up to make sure it's on track? This little table right here is the antidote to ambiguity and the secret to a culture of accountability.
So let's just pull back for a second. What we've walked through here isn't a random collection of tips. It's a complete, repeatable system. You master yourself, you make it safe, you execute the dialogue with skill, and you move to action. That's the operating system for turning tough conversations into your team's greatest strength.
And this quote really says it all. The best organizations, the best families, the best teams, they aren't the ones that magically have no problems. That's a fantasy. The The best are simply the ones who have mastered the art of dealing with their problems effectively, out in the open. They've mastered dialogue.
You know, at the very beginning of this, I asked you to think about a conversation you were avoiding. Well, now you have the toolkit. You have the roadmap. The question isn't if you can handle it anymore. The only question left is, which one will you choose to have first?